Marco, actually, I have a question for Speaker Emerita Pelosi, if I may. You mentioned your role, how instrumental you were in making sure that the ACA was not only enacted, but these premium tax credits were passed in 2021 and 2022. I'm curious, what would you say, given kind of your unique position in all of this, what would you say Republicans fundamentally misunderstand about health care the way that you see it, whether it's these premium tax credits or the broader legislation? What don't you think Republicans understand? How would you convey to the American people the disconnect that you see between your vision for health care and theirs?
Well, I think the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is we are here for America's working families. They are not. And their decisions are very political in this regard. Why on earth, it's hard to understand, why on earth would you take away from families something so central to their financial security, but also, first and foremost, their health security? So there's no understanding of it except it's very, very political. And of course, they have abolished the House of Representatives or the Congress of the United States to just do whatever the president says. So this is about them, it's about the president, it's about MAGA, it's not about doing anything that is wholesome and right and respectful. And as has been pointed out by our distinguished chair of the caucus and other members here too, there's so many provisions, and that, quite frankly, they don't tell the truth about it. Pre-existing conditions. They say, oh, we take care of that. No, you don't. You do if you have, or you're very wealthy. But they just don't understand this one important thing, that unless the poorest person in America has access to health care, everyone in our country is susceptible to the contagion that might cause. The wealthiest person who has his own nurses and doctors and this and that, they're not protected unless the least among us are protected. So this is about health care for all, the poorest and the wealthiest, because we are all breathing the same air. And I can't even possibly share with you what the motivation is with the Republicans, because it is not values-based, it is political, and it is most unfortunate. And we're going to have a majority in the next election so we can proceed. But hopefully we won't have to correct their mistake. Hopefully the 218 will be even a bigger number, and the Speaker will honor the rules of the House and not the dictate of the White House and bring up that bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Anyone else have something to say on that? Do you understand the Republican motivation on this? It's horrible.
Well, they're always standing. I think that there is a big comparison of what Republicans are always doing, right? Yet last night in the Rules Committee, they kept saying, oh, but it only affects 7% of the American public. That's 20 million people. But when we ask them, why should we extend and make permanent the tax cuts for 700 billionaires, they said, oh, because it's really important. Like, so they were willing to go to bat for 700, maybe 800 now, billionaires. But they were not willing to go to bat for 20 million Americans. That, I think, is the biggest difference, is they continuously stand with the biggest corporations and the wealthiest Americans instead of those small businesses, working families who need the help.
And one more point as to that Madam Chair said. They did this in the same bill. They gave a tax cut to the wealthiest people in our country at the same time as they were cutting off millions of people from Medicaid, took $500 billion out of Medicare. $500 billion out of Medicare, and again, millions of people off of Medicaid. And these are people, it's not just poor children, although that would be justification enough to have Medicaid, but it's a middle income benefit too, because long-term health care for middle income families is paid for largely by Medicaid. So how do you, who in the room? One time I said to them, I said to them in the course of another debate, I'm following Pope Francis on this. And the Republicans said, you're following Pope Francis, I'm following the stock market. I rest my case.
And votes have been called, and we're going to go up and vote against this rule and against the cuts to health care and women's health. Thank you very much for participating.